In an exclusive interview granted to Daily Trust newspaper by the chairman of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdurrashid Bawa, he revealed that 3 serving state governors are being monitored over moves to launder looted billions of naira through table payment of salaries to workers in their respective states. This follows plans by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to redesign higher denomination of the naira currency from 200 through to 1,000 naira notes. The move by the Nigeria's Apex Bank has also led to what experts describe as temporary shocks and artificial scarcity of dollars, leading to an astronomical rise in its value, with the naira at an all-time low. Although the Minister of Finance had explained that her ministry was not carried along in the move, President Muhammadu Buhari also in a recent interview had maintained that the CBN governor had his express approval to go ahead with the redesign. He also spoke on other issues including security, agriculture, and achieving food sufficiency in the country. Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Hamza Idris. Today, we are joined on the program by Professor Usman Yusuf. He is the former Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS. Together, we'll be discussing the issues around the state of the nation, naira redesign, the position of the president on the issue, among other matters. Always pleasure to have you, Prof.
Thank you very much for
Welcome to Daily Trust.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a short break, and when we return, the discussion of the day commences.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back. This is Daily Politics, and today we have Professor Usman Yusuf in the studio. Welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. You served under the Buhari administration as Executive Secretary of NHIS, so you are an insider. This is how I would describe you today, even if it is remotely. Yes. So what are your thoughts of the plan to redesign the naira?
I mean, nobody can tell you what they are doing because they haven't talked to Nigerians. At least in 1984,
yes,
when this same president, when he was the head of state, when he redesigned the naira, it was discussed at the Supreme Military Council. But here, it's only him and the governor of Central Bank. Not even the Minister of Finance was in on it. So just the two of them doing things in a democratic setting. The Minister of Finance came out and said she wasn't consulted. So how can you do something when the monetary and the physical component don't talk to each other?
You think there is a disconnect?
There are big disconnect. There has always been. Remember at one time the Ministry of Finance, they wanted to remove fuel subsidy.
Yeah.
And then the Senate president went to the president, and the president said he didn't give anybody permission to do that, and they aborted. So there is a disconnect. When you have the monetary and the physical arm of our economy, they are not talking, then we're in trouble. Everybody is just doing its own as if they're just drowning. Nobody is talking to Nigerians, they are not even talking to themselves. Well, then the governor of Central Bank came out and said, Well, this was what they want to do. The president said in that House interview, he told him in October, that was last month, and gave him a lot of reasons, and he gave him the go-ahead. He didn't have the courtesy to consult the economic team. The governor of the central bank, neither the governor of the central bank nor the president have the pulse of the nation. I took the liberty of listening to the views of traders in Bakori, in Charanchi, in Katsina, in Kano, in Kaduna, in
Was this after the announcement?
After all of this.
But before we get to that
right.
pulse, I read it somewhere that in 1984, it was also just between the president and the CBN governor, and he warned the CBN governor not to even tell Idiagbo at that time. I don't know how true is that.
I don't know, and I'm not privy to that. And I don't think in the military regime at that time they are equals. I don't think they would let him do things on his own.
Arbitrarily.
Absolutely not. Not even in the military administration. Here is a democracy, and you're not consulting widely. You're staying in Abuja, making these decisions that will impact the lives of 200 million Nigerians. Who do you talk to? It's not the people in Abuja. Go down to the hinterland and see how it will affect our people. And that's why I'm here. It's not the economics, all the numbers. No, I do not see any consideration of how it will affect our people. What I see is them thinking, oh, there are people having money stashed in their houses and we go get them. The United States of America and all the Western world, they have a lot more stolen money.
They have more?
Absolutely. The United States, you have drug dealers that have billions. Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely. All this money that our politicians here steal and launder to the United Kingdom, they're all illicit money. Do these governments change their currency just to punish these people?
You're talking about the UK, US.
Absolutely. And all the Western world. Switzerland and all these other places, all the money, they didn't make the money.
They have money also.
It is money from all this illicit money from our
But I think such monies get their ways to the mainstream, to the system.
They know it's not mainstream. They know it's blood money. They know it's dark money. They know. Drug money gets into the system in the United States, and they change their currency regularly. Nobody even knows. Just to protect the security of the currency, and they see a lot of counterfeit. But they are on top of it always. The big question to the central bank governor is, if the purpose of this, what he's told Nigerians is, there is a lot of money in there that is not in the financial system. Hello, Mr. Governor, you've been a governor for 7 years. Whose fault is it? You are supposed to shepherd the monetary aspect of this country. What have you done?
So it's like you are taking the blame back to the CBN governor now for not sanitizing the release and circulation of the currency.
The CBN governor, he is given the responsibility to manage our monetary system. What rate did he find the dollar? The dollar was at $1 per 167 naira.
167.
Today is 800. What rate is inflation today? October, 21.3. So, Mr. Governor, this is a sign of failure as a governor.
Are you saying it's an escapist approach, this initiative?
No. It's just voodoo economics. Voodoo. This has nothing to do with, is it going to tame inflation?
It's one of the reasons he gave.
Is it going to tame inflation? Is it going to bolster the Naira?
He said all this.
Is it going to improve the economy?
He said this.
It won't. I'll tell you why.
Okay, why?
Number one, economy. All right, you get money from people that are hiding it in their sewers or in their overhead tank. They're not using it, right? Number one, nobody is benefiting from it. Inflation is already 21.3. The economy can never improve if you do not have major drivers to the economy. What are the drivers? You don't have industries. You're not manufacturing anything. There is corruption. Electricity is a problem. You can do whatever you want with your naira if you do not. And the money supply, total money supply is directly proportional to the inflation. If you're producing a lot more naira than the economy is producing goods or services, you will have inflation. So you don't have these drivers to drive the economy. I'm not an economist, but our scripture says, ask those who know. And I've asked a lot of people.
Okay, to arrive at what you're talking about
I'm not talking out of this thing. I'm talking from knowledge of people that I know. I ask people, and one of the best write-ups I've seen about this is from a gentleman called Dr. Nasir Aminu. He's a Nigerian academic at Cardiff Metropolitan University. Okay. Beautiful, very simple for you and I that are not.
He reduced the statistics
absolutely to the basics, and that is how life should be. Don't come and tell us as a governor of central bank, be talking, we don't understand what you're saying. You're not relating to us, just like our politicians are not connected to us. They are disconnected. So you're going to punish the 3 or 4 or 10 governors that have stolen under your watch. And then everybody else will go down the drain because of them.
But don't you think, Prof, that the president agreed with the CBN governor, because most likely if he tells other stakeholders like the National Assembly, like the finance minister and all that, they will find a way of saying this is not the right time?
No. And they don't have to give, they are not the ones to give him approval.
Who should then give?
It's the president that should give him approval.
But what I'm talking about the president now. Yeah. He gave him the approval. Is it that the president was arbitrary in giving the approval without consultations? Or you think that there is more to it than just the reasons they gave us?
Yeah, there's more to it. If I tell you, they will list 10 reasons. But one of the reasons that will impress the president more than anything they tell him is not the economics. But that is there are people who have stolen billions and hidden them in their sewers, in their houses, in their overhead tank. If we do this, that money will be worthless.
But is that not a reason to now?
No, that would be more appealing to the president than the economics itself. Because the economists will look at changing the design of a currency. I mean, it's been done all over the world. And is valid, legitimate. The United Kingdom has just finished redesigning it after a 5-year period from 2016 to September 2022.
Yeah, long period.
India did that too, but it's in phases. Allow people to, and they are still exchanging through post office, through commercial bank. You can put in the money, but you not get out. But here you come in a democratic setting, not in a military setting, saying we've given you 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, that money you have is worthless. And the president himself said it in that House interview. He has literally indicted anybody, any person who is not able to change that his money within 6 weeks.
Whether you have your money legitimately or not.
Oh yeah.
Then what is the difference between what is happening now and what happened in 1984?
It's going to get worse. So they've not learned, this president has not learned a lesson from 38 years ago. I was alive. I was a young doctor, 2-3 years out of medical school.
Okay, that time.
Absolutely.
You started collecting salary.
Yeah, I graduated in 1982. So I remembered how wealth got vaporized. People that do not have access to banks, they have not even taken time to sensitize people. How many Nigerians have bank accounts? Is it 59 million? A quarter of Nigerians. In Yobe State, out of how many local governments are in Yobe State?
17, yeah.
17 local governments. Only 4 local governments are banks. Yes. In Katsina State, more than half the local governments do not have banks. And besides, a third of the state is under siege by bandits.
And people have money.
Absolutely. Yes, you have farmers, people that earn their living legitimately. They don't know bank, they keep their money at home, and there is no rule that stops a person from keeping his money at home.
But government encourages cashless economy.
Right, cashless. How can you do cashless economy when there is no cash, when the population is large, when people do not have access? do not have access to technology. People need to be realistic, not sit down in Abuja and be bringing out policies. Clearly, there is a disconnect between our politicians and our policy makers and our people. I have heard from traders in Bakori, in Charanchi.
Yes,
all
because you
other
mentioned
places.
this, but what did they tell you, these people?
I will tell you. How
When
it
you
will
call
affect them.
Bakori,
Many of them, see, many of them do not go to the bank because they don't have banks, right? Whatever they do is a daily thing.
But even with the POS
Right.
point, they can open an account, Prof.
Right, but they where is it POS is everywhere, guys. There are places that are deserted. So people need to be realistic and know Nigeria. They don't know Nigeria. They don't know Nigeria. So POS, I want to go to Kano from Bakori. I want to go buy something. Give me 200,000. Can't get that. There are many villages, and I've said it again and again and again, Mr. President, you go and pick out 1,000 naira, go to the village square, people do not have change. And you're saying the little they have will be worthless if they don't go to the bank and change it.
Okay, but Prof, beyond this, do you think CBN has any other motive of changing this?
I don't know their motive. Whatever their motive, and they don't have to. And part of changing the reasons for the changing all over the world is security of the currency itself. There is a lot of counterfeit all over the world, but in Nigeria, I understand it's a lot. So if you redesign it, you frustrate counterfeiters. And to deter those that do not pay taxes. You have billions in your house, you don't pay tax, and a lot of people don't pay tax. You take it to the bank and it's changed, you are taxed. And plus, a lot of money goes back into the bank, liquidity is reduced, and banks are able to give loans. But our banks do not give loans to people that need them. So policy is not, the whole idea of redesigning currency, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But for you to give Nigerians just 6 weeks, if you don't change that money is worthless, whether you got it legitimately or not. And the president, from that, his interview with Halil Ahmed Gezo,
yeah, which we will definitely discuss. I have some questions to ask you.
Anybody that does not change it, that is not able to do that, the money is not legitimate. No, sir. A lot more people earn their money.
You don't agree with him on this?
Absolutely not. A lot more people earn their money legitimately than those that do not earn it legitimately. And they will not be able to change it in 6 weeks.
But don't you think the decision has started paying off, considering the money we are now seeing on social media? Even when you go to doorsteps of banks, you see Ghana must go being taken into the banking hall. Some bankers are even saying some of the nuts, are infested bed bug, the money is smelling. Is this really not a good decision by the president? People are now bringing out the money.
No. Okay, good decision to the economy, to inflation. Look at what the dollar has done. People that have that money, they are smarter than all these CBN people. That's why they are rushing to buy dollar. They will buy dollar even if it is 1,500. Number one, they've been buying gold. They've been buying grains. They've been buying properties. And a lot of smart ones do not store that money. They've changed it already.
Okay.
Absolutely. So we need some smartness in all the decision, but policy with compassion and human kindness.
You say policy with compassion.
Yeah.
The rule there, the CBN Act, stipulates that they should change it between 5 and 8 years, something like that. They should change the Naira redesign in order to add security to it, in order to secure it and all that. Now, many years they didn't do this. Are you really not comfortable with the whole process, or it is the timing that you have issues with?
No, the timing, how long is going to allow people to change their money? And the fact that the president himself has painted anybody that cannot change his money within 6 weeks as illegitimate. That is wrong. A lot more people earn their living legitimately. And the fact that you do not even give consideration or think about, and the Minister of Finance said that, there are going to be consequences on our people. And we do not see anything to mitigate all this shortfall. Vaporization, evaporation of wealth. We saw that in 1984.
Meaning many people going to lose their money.
Absolutely. Legitimately earn money. They're not able to change it. Within 6 weeks, that money is worthless. And it is not stolen. And the president knows. Anybody that can keep that money in his house or store got it from the government. They are government employees, either chief executives, ministers, or whatever, federal government. And nobody in the state has that kind of money that he will keep in the distance. It is always from the government. They're all cronies of the governors.
Okay, the EFCC chairman, he mentioned, I personally interviewed him, and he said some governors are going to now use this money to pay salaries. What is your take on this?
You see,
table payment,
table payment, sky payment, whatever. Have they not been watching them when they are piling up this money? They've been watching them when they are piling all this money. And National Assembly, all these federal agencies, the National Assembly tell us they go on oversight function. And then you have graft and corruption in the same agencies that you say you went and oversighted. I was just reading today, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian University Commission, Professor Rashid, went to defend his budget at the National Assembly. The budget for his capital budget was 700 million. But he told them he sought extra 12 billion.
Inserted?
Absolutely. Not by him.
How did it arrive there?
By the members of the House of Reps and Senate. They padded it.
And is this not the reason now that the president is actually, you can see, he must be on the same page with the EFCC chairman and with the CBN governor to force these people to bring out these monies?
No, so after 7.5 years, they've been sleeping. Now all of a sudden they're waking up when a lot of damage has been done. I mean, you are a chief executive. All you asked for is 700 million. And they added 12 billion onto your budget. And they took it to the president. And the president will sign the budget. We don't have checks to get to the president.
Then whose fault is that?
No, we don't have checks to get before it gets to the president.
I think the gatekeepers are there.
What have they been doing? I was the chief executive. I know when they come for oversight, all they want to do is shake you for money. That's all they do. So corruption is endemic. And with corruption, there's not going to grow economy. Nowhere in the world where corruption is this endemic can the economy or the military be effective.
But Prof, is it not, as the saying goes, that better late than never?
No, what I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with changing money.
Okay.
But I'm sure all I'm asking, whatever you do, think about you're not only punishing people, punishing the thieves who stole under your eyes, but 99.999% of our people in the villages, in the rural areas that have nothing to do with this pillaging in government, you think about them. And I do not see that.
So what do you think should be done to mitigate this?
Yeah, one of the you want to change. There's nothing wrong with changing the currency to improve its security, to deter counterfeit.
Even bandits that hold the money to.
People are talking bandits. Bandits are bandits. They are now asking for USD or euro.
Not Naira anymore.
So that's how messed up things are. There's nothing wrong with changing currency to be able to deter counterfeiters, to deter illegal movement of money, to deter tax evaders.
To solve inflation.
Absolutely. It won't solve inflation. I told you inflation will continue to go up so long as you do not have all these drivers.
But what they are saying now is that it is really panic buying of the dollar. By the time the new currency comes out, forces of demand and supply will force the dollar to come down.
We'll see. Have you ever seen anything go up and come down in Nigeria? You tell me one thing that's gone up. The law of physics say whatever goes up comes down. In Nigeria, whatever goes up continues to stay up. I mean, you go to buy tomato, or you go to buy potato, and the trader is telling you, oh, dollar is up.
And what connection does a dollar
tell me,
has with somebody selling pepper in the market?
You are the journalist. A lot of connections, because they have to bring their wares to the market. They have, petrol is up. They have to bring their stuff to the market. If they buy pesticide, everything is imported.
But if you look at the percentage increase, it's really, even the traders are not helping government, they are not helping the system.
Well, government is honestly not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody because its policy is not people-centered. It's disconnected from realities of our people. And people are seeing all this pillaging up there, and they're seeing continuing poverty in a country that has so much.
We've conducted a research in some markets, like Bakwori that you mentioned. Our reporter in Katsina, he went to some of these village markets, and they have seen how, you know, these local traders, middlemen, they are just mopping up grains, you know, at the instance of some people from the cities who send them back filled up with money. So how do we reconcile this now?
Yeah, it's good for the farmers now. They are bringing out the money, at least the thieves are bringing out the money to buy the grains. But we're going to get to a point where they will start hoarding these grains, and then there will be hunger.
Oh my God.
So government has to be, okay, you are saying traders in the market oversell things at a high price. Yesterday I was watching a clip on radio from Jibia to Katsina. Traders are bringing their wares to the market. I mean, this is groundnut, bringing it to the market. And they were complaining how at every so many checkpoints they are having to give bribes. To custom, to police, to whoever.
To move their wares.
Absolutely. So when they get to the market, they will have to. So wherever you have corruption, endemic corruption, it will end up you and I and everybody else. The government needs to be able to do whatever it does to think about what problems these things are going to cause and be able to say, these are issues, these are ways we can mitigate them. And I can see the pain of the Minister of Finance when she says there are going to be problems, definitely.
What are some of those problems? And that's why I say, and how to mitigate them.
The problems, of course, Hamza, is inflation. Everything will go up. In a place where people do not have money, they cannot buy, even the Fulani lady that brings no to the market, she'll sell higher. Fura will be higher, grains will be higher, everything will be higher because petrol will be higher. Inflation is everybody, the spare parts of vehicles will be higher, so they will ask for more fare. That's inflation. And it impacts our people more than it impacts all these government people that everything of theirs is paid. So we need to think whatever we are doing, we consider our people back home. And we are not doing that. I don't see that. You want to change, redesign the currency? No problem. Give people time.
But they don't have time. They have only 6 or 7 months to live. The government.
The Nigeria is not for this government. Nigeria is for 200 million
But it will take
people.
the political will, Prof, to do this.
Nigeria,
maybe this is the time.
No, Nigeria belongs to 200 million people, not APC, PDP, APC, PPP, whatever. Belongs to us. Whatever is being done, people must be considered. And governments will continue. What of Zaria Kaduna, Abuja Kaduna Road? It's not completed.
Okay, we'll discuss this, Prof, and I will also ask you some questions based on some of the policies taken by President Muhammadu Buhari, which he defended in a recent Hausa interview. Viewers, we will take a short break here, and when we return, the discussion continues. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Remember, you can follow the conversation on our various social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Prof, welcome back. Yes, before we went on break, we were trying to say the policy was actually misplaced. I mean, the timing and all that. But recently, the president granted an interview to a Hausa television station, and he defended many of his policies, including the TSA as part of efforts to mitigate the impacts of corruption and all that. I want to go back to your stewardship at National Health Insurance Scheme. Did the TSA work at that time as being said by the president?
Why are you bringing me back to NHI?
No, it's very important because we said that decisions must be taken, at certain times.
Yeah, good. All right. Let me. So when I came to the NHIS, because you want to give me, you're asking me what's been my experience.
Yes, what was your
as
CEO?
Chief
This was between 2016 and 2019.
Right.
If I'm not
3 years.
wrong.
Correct.
Yes.
July 2016 to July 2019.
Yeah.
So when I came to the NHIS, nobody could tell me what the amount of money NHIS has. None.
Was the TSA not there?
Okay. I came in July. The TSA was supposed to be September the year before. 2015.
Okay.
That every agency should migrate their money from all commercial banks into the TSA.
Yes.
Treasury single account at the CBN. Good. But when I came, nobody in the NHS could tell me how much money we got.
And there are like 2 or 3 accounts?
They still had. Anyway, so what I did was to institute a forensic audit. They audited all our accounts from the beginning to the end, all the commercial banks. And what we found out was alarming. That over 13 commercial banks were still holding on to NHIS money.
13 commercial banks?
Absolutely, in billions. They have not migrated that into the TSA. They have not. And they still have not. So I made all the reports.
As we speak?
Absolutely. So I did all the report bank by bank, how much is there, how much is everything. Send it to the EFCC, sent it to the president via his late chief of staff. I sent it to my minister, and I presented it to my board. And I governor central bank and the chairman House Committee on Health, chairman Senate Committee on Health, everybody knew there's still NHIS money, a lot of NHIS money still in commercial banks that have not been migrated. So you will see once every while, you will see they say, 5 billion of NHIS money recovered. This is all part of the recovery. But back to TSA. So I was in the office. I came July 2016. So 28 December 2016, I was out of town. Boom, they told me they have debited. The Accountant General's office had debited.
The Accountant General's office?
Absolutely, because they are the custodians of the TSA account.
Okay.
They've debited 5 billion out of NHIS TSA account.
Without your knowledge?
Without consulting me as the chief
What
executive.
about the board? They consulted the board?
No. Without consulting me as the chief executive, the board had not been distant then. Without consulting me as the chief executive or asking my consent. So when I came back, I went and sat down with the Accountant General of the Federation.
Who was there?
The Accountant General of the Federation is this same gentleman that is alleged to have embezzled 109 billion. Yeah, so I sat down with him, accountant, why have you taken our money?
You asked him?
Absolutely. He's in the office, very kind, good man. We drank tea. Why are you? You say, I act on directives. Whose directive? The Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance that time was the previous minister. What's her name? Kemi Adeosun was the minister then.
She directed him.
That's what he said. That's what he said. So I wrote to her that I want to see her to discuss this. She refused to see me. So I went to the SGF then, who was Babachir Lawal. I said, I want to go and talk to her about this. She is not wanting to see me. So he called her and asked her, please give him audience. She never did. And of course, the House committee held hearings that money must be returned. So this was December 2016, 28th December 2016. 5 billion was taken out of NHIS TSA account by the Accountant General without the consent of the Chief Executive, me. Right? So January 2017, I went on my first of many suspensions because I fought that.
Because you were accused of maybe taking the money?
No, it's not that. Oh, I fought that. And many other things, HMO and all that. So it would come out. So I was suspended January to July. 2018 again in January 11, 2018, they still went into the NHIS TSA account and took another 5 billion.
Who?
Accountant General's office on the directives of the minister, he said. So 10 billion in 2 tranches of 5-5 from NHIS TSA account without
your
my
knowledge.
consent. Absolutely. And I again wrote to everybody that needed to know. Nothing happened. And then this was 10 billion. And then, okay, I exited NHIS
unceremoniously.
I exited NHIS July 2019. That money has still not been refunded back to NHIS.
Where was it taken
account. You ask them, right? And then
you didn't
COVID,
follow the money?
No, I kept writing. They kept bouncing me here and there.
Okay, honestly, why I ask you this question is that President Buhari, in his interview with Gezo, Halilu Ahmed Gezo, he said he brought the TSA to now solve some of this corruption. Do you think that the inability of the TSA to work necessitated the redesigning of this Naira maybe?
No. The whole idea of the TSA was noble, was good idea. But we have seen, as the case of the Accountant General of the Federation showed, that
it's not a perfect initiative.
They will always find a way around it. The Accountant General of the Federation was alleged to have taken, and the president mentioned his name.
Yeah, in the interview. Yes.
Alleged to have embezzled 109 billion.
Maybe part of your money is there.
Let's do the math. 109 billion over a period of 7 years. So if you do 109 over 7, all they need to take is about 15.5 billion, 15.5 billion annually.
From different places.
Absolutely. And in the NHIS, they didn't stop with my 10 billion. During COVID, I was away. I had exited NHIS.
Yes.
During COVID in September 2020, they went again and dipped their hands into the TSA account of the NHIS and took 6.2 billion. So from the NHIS TSA account, if you look at from 2016 to 2020, they have taken 16.2 billion. It's not been accounted for. 16.2 billion.
But whose fault is this?
Let me tell you this. The NHIS is an agency that's supposed to do a lot of good, a lot more than a lot of agencies can, to help people in their greatest
time of need,
in the hospital. I have seen a clip, the Emir of Kano then, Sunusi, Muhammadu Sunusi II, shedding tears in a presentation. Why? He said, was waiting in his palace, in his courtyard, when people would come, and one by one they will usher them, they have problems. Then all of a sudden he had a scream of a woman. Then he asked, what? The woman went to hospital with her baby. They gave her a prescription.
She could not afford the drug.
She couldn't afford. And she's not the first. They always come to the emir or come to the cleric. They never go to the governors. She came to the palace, waiting her turn to ask the emir to help her. And the emir was shedding tears. What she needed was less than 2,000.
2,000.
Why was she screaming? The baby had died on her back.
Oh.
The baby had died on her back while she was waiting to see the emir to get less than $2,000, 2,000 naira. This is the money of NHIS, where a human being is taking 16.2 billion. And this is my fight in the NHIS. When I was in the NHS, I thought I was doing God's work. But this is what's been happening not only in the NHS and all agencies. If the NHS, if from one agency, the NHS, the same accountant general,
what happened in other agencies?
16.2 billion agency, so it's very easy. 15.5 billion every year for 7 years. The president mentioned him, and the same accountant general is from Kano. You go to our hospitals. So this is
very
where
pathetic. Yeah, maybe we should move on to another area the president mentioned, that he has no apology of asking Nigerians to go back to farm, you know, to address food security. Now it is at all-time high. Food prices all-time high. We have it on the screen. Yeah.
No. So when I watched that interview, I watched it with amazement, horror, and anger.
Why?
And disappointment, I'll tell you. So the president is telling Nigerians have no excuse to say they're hungry.
Yes.
Not even.
But do you think they have any excuse?
No, let me tell you. Not even the president of the United States, Joe Biden, the president of the richest country in the world, can tell Americans that, because we know there's hunger in America. Yes, there is hunger in America. So for the president to tell us it is the fault of people that don't go to the farm, that's why they're hungry. I want to remind him, if he does not know, millions of people, Nigerians, including women and children, mostly women and children, go to bed every day hungry. Wake up with no certainty of anything to eat. A third of my state, the most fertile part of the state, is under siege. People are not farming. Or farmers pay bandits to access their farm.
But do you
access? No, let me finish.
No, Prof. Do you accuse the president alone?
No.
You have traditional rulers, you have the governors and all these people.
Let me tell you. Then the president should know what he says. What he said was lack of compassion, insensitive, and disconnected from realities of our people.
But I want to slightly disagree.
Let me finish. How can a president say it is the fault of this thing that you have hungry people? Even in Saudi Arabia, there are hungry people. If
I understand what he said in that interview, he made mention that the CBN disbursed billions of naira to farmers, inputs, for farmers, and lots of incentives to encourage even millers.
Good.
And I, was discussing with somebody who said it's even better to open up the borders so that to checkmate these millers, because they are the people indirectly actually sabotaging some of the policies put in place by the president, by CBN, and what have you.
Good. So the CBN in Nigeria has taken over the responsibility of Ministry of Agriculture.
Because it has failed, most likely.
Let me finish. So
the president must look for other options to reach out.
So it reads with the dollar at 800 and something, with the economy going downhill, and you give the CBN governor pass, it's taking over the job of the Minister of Agriculture, job of the Minister of Industry. CBN has no responsibility in those places. He doesn't know that. He doesn't understand that.
But what about those saddled with the responsibility when they fail?
Then the president fired them because they're all serving at the pleasure of the president.
In that same interview, he said people are not reporting, because was there any report to him that he did not act on?
Yes, I did.
What did you report?
All I went through in the NHIS, I put it in writing, and I sat down with him and told him. He knows. Everybody in government knows. It wasn't about me, about my job, but the effect it was having on our people. So to say people have not been talking is not true. It must be hard of hearing. He wants to hear what he wants to hear. Everybody in government knows my fight at the NHIS, the good of our people. So for him to say, oh, CBN is giving loan, is to whom?
To the farmers, Prof.
To whom? Which farmers?
When you go to Kebbi State, you see the farmers during celebration, showcasing their produce. But once the middlemen take this from them, you don't hear anything about.
Have you heard what is the price of rice now? 50 kilograms of rice.
It's over 30,000.
What is the minimum wage?
30.
in states that will pay minimum wage.
Yeah.
Many states do not pay minimum wage. So the price of rice
But whose
is
fault?
more than, no,
whose
I'm coming,
fault
I'm
is
coming.
it?
The price of rice is more than what a breadwinner brings home. Borders were closed, and he said it in that interview. Borders were closed from Chad Republic to Benin Republic. One of the reasons for the closure was to stop rice from coming in or to stop arms. Did it stop that? No, it didn't. After 2 years, he came himself and said it didn't work. It didn't work. There is flooding. Go to Jigawa and see. The pathetic. All their farms are gone. Jigawa, in Kano, in Kogi, in Adama, in Bayelsa, and you're saying it is people's fault that they are hungry? Come on.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, because here in Trust TV we've been bringing out, some of the travels of these people in different documentaries, in Benue,
so it's
in
not
Chicago, and all that. But is this Buhari's problem? Because we're talking, we're trying to see, look at another perspective to the problems.
Good, Hamza.
Leaders require support of all and sundry.
Good, Hamza. These people you call these people are our people. President Muhammad Buhari's people.
Yeah.
In Daura, he goes and sees them. As the president, the buck stops there. If a minister is not doing his job, he is serving at your pleasure.
He tasked the reporter, who is, legendary, if I should use this word to describe him. He said, tell me any corrupt person that you reported to me that I did not tackle.
Right, interesting. I reported, what did they do?
Okay, fine.
Number one, I reported, what did they do?
Okay.
That so far in NHIS, 16.2 billion of NHIS money was taken out of the TSA account.
All right.
Money that's meant to help people in the hospital. What did they do? I can tell you what I know.
Anyway, we don't have really time to go deep into that, but we will invite you again, Prof. The issues are so many. And what we discussed today is beyond redesigning the Naira, another perspective. And I think you have brought out some of these issues that the president must look into in order to solve the general problem afflicting Nigeria. We thank you for coming. Viewers, we wish we have more time to discuss many other issues in respect to redesigning the Naira. But definitely we will have more opportunity to discuss this today. And this is where we come to the end of the program. Thank you for watching, and do join us again. I'm Hamza Idris.